Did you know that the wizard's maximum ground speed is 9? But why does that matter? Well, because it causes a weird problem. Let's talk about forward dash velocity math. For the wizard, we can simplify it down to this equation. Each character that can dash has a base speed value that is used to determine how much speed they get from dashing, the wizard's being 8. When you dash, you can adjust the distance slider to affect how much velocity you get from it. The slider ranges between 0 and 100, which is then multiplied here by 0.06. Depending on that input, the result will range between 0 and 6, which then has 4 added to it, which means your velocity gain from forward dashing ranges between 4 and 10. And there's the problem right there. Wizard dashing should be able to reach a velocity of 10, but is stopped short at 9 by maximum ground speed. This is a problem that other characters do not have, and it has a strange consequence. To gain 9 velocity from forward dashing, the wizard need only put the distance slider to 83. At higher values, additional velocity is capped at 9 anyways. There is no benefit to increasing the slider beyond that point. Additionally, the distance slider also impacts how many frames it takes to dash outside of combos. Here's a list of interruptible as soon as values versus the distance slider counterparts. 83 is right there inside the 14 frame range. If you make the mistake of increasing it to the 15 frame range between 93 and 100, your dash can take 1 frame longer to perform without benefiting from any additional speed. Even if we looked at the planned changes for frame counts, which looks like this, 83 is still inside that 14 frame range. The problem does not change. In fact, the 15 frame range is wider while still not providing any benefits. So should the wizard's max ground speed be bumped up to 10? Maybe. The thing about velocity is that you lose a lot of it to friction. It's effectively percentage based, meaning the more speed you have, the more you lose every frame. 10 velocity will quickly drop to 9 in only a few frames depending on the friction being applied. However, the wizard has the lowest friction values of any character, even without using hover. Did you know that the ground friction applied by hover is superseded by custom frictions applied by forward dash, back dash, and super dash? You actually waste your gravity meter if you use it during those actions. I don't know if that's intentional. Here are the effective multipliers for the wizard's ground friction. Normally it's about 0.92, losing 8% velocity per frame, but hover brings it up to 0.975, losing 2.5% velocity per frame instead. During dashes, 0.95 loses you 5% velocity per frame. When something moves due to momentum, it's moving a number of pixels every frame equal to its velocity, which will round its current velocity values to a whole number of pixels to move in a given direction. As an example, a character with a velocity of 9.2 moving to the right will move 9 pixels. If the wizard is moving at 10 velocity using normal friction, it will drop from 10 to about 9.2, then to 8.4. It only takes 1 frame to return to a similar speed that the wizard already had with the max ground speed set to 9. The amount of difference this would make is incredibly small. With hover, the speed is preserved for longer, going from 10 to 9.75 to 9.5 to 9.3 to 9. The wizard would enjoy 10 pixel movement for 3 frames before it gets rounded down to 9. During a forward dash, it goes from 10 to 9.5 to 9. 10 pixel movement would only occur for 2 frames. We don't need to talk about super dash because it already ignores maximum ground speed to reach a velocity of 20, and we can skip backdash since it only provides 8 velocity, which is higher than the Ninja 7? Why? If the maximum ground speed was raised to 10, the main sources of velocity we need to consider are forward dash, super dash, missile form sliding, and dodge. Anything related to spark bomb speed changes already have the custom max speeds associated with them. All this to say that increasing the wizard's maximum ground speed to 10 is an overall buff to the wizard's speed that may have unintended consequences. So here's an alternative. I mentioned before that the wizard's base for dash speed is 8. Lower it to 7. The real math for determining dash speed can be simplified to this. Before, it would get us this equation, the distance slider number divided by 100 multiplied by 6, and then adding 4 afterwards, which would result in something between 4 to 10 velocity. But with 7, it would get us this equation. Distance slider number divided by 100 multiplied by 5.25 plus 3.5, which would result in something between 3.5 to 8.75, which is below the maximum ground speed threshold. Or, if you want the highest velocity at exactly 9, use 7.2 instead. which gets us this, distance slider divided by 100 multiplied by 5.4 plus 3.6, which gives us a velocity between 3.6 to 9 velocity. So Ivy-Sly, if you're watching this, please adjust the wizard's ground speed. Thanks to C-Tag for helping me with my math homework, and to Darkener for getting me my action icon assets. They're in my Discord, why aren't you? The links are right there in the description.